Alright, so real quick before we really start things off, for anyone wondering why this is going up today on Monday rather than last Friday, I'd like to explain very briefly. Since Steven Universe had been airing episodes on Fridays and Monday is the next business day after Friday, I had been using Mondays to review Steven Universe episodes and posting my theories on Tuesdays instead. However, Steven Universe is now on another hiatus until next month, which means that right now I don't have any content that goes up on Mondays, so I have decided to move Gravity Falls reviews to Mondays for the time being. This will allow me to either spread out Star vs. the Forces of Evil reviews more, or even include a different review every so often on Fridays. And once Steven Universe starts airing again, I'll figure out when exactly I'm going to post those reviews at that point in time. All of that said, let's talk about Boss Mabel, the 13th episode of the first season of Gravity Falls, in which Mabel, realizing that she doesn't like the way that Stan runs the Mystery Shack, makes a bet with him that if he goes away on vacation for 3 days, that she will be able to make more money than he brings back with him, all using her own managerial style. So Stan goes away to compete on the game show, and Mabel stays behind and puts her own plans for the Mystery Shack into action. She's very nice to everyone, she's very concerned with morale, she listens to everyone's ideas. For example, Wendy wishes that she could have some of her friends hang out with her from time to time, and Stan doesn't let her. Dipper thinks it would be beneficial to use the journal to actually find something that's genuinely supernatural for the tour, and Seuss has an idea for a mascot that Stan would never let him go through with because he was worried that Seuss couldn't handle the stress. Mabel just puts all of those plans into action immediately, with no thought for the consequences, and of course things go bad pretty much immediately. Having her friends around Wendy doesn't actually work. In fact, she starts taking advantage of Mabel and staying home. Seuss didn't properly plan through the costume for his mascot and ends up freaking people out, and of course, he can't handle the stress of being the mascot in the first place. And Dipper learns the very important lesson that maybe having actual monsters in the store is a bad idea. But most importantly, we got genuine character development for both Mabel and Stan in this episode, and that was the best part about the entire thing. I was hoping that this episode having Mabel's name in the title would be a very Mabel episode with a lot of Mabelisms and a lot of fun Mabel-y stuff. You all know how big a fan I am of Mabel. And it did have those things in it, but she also grew as a person here, which is something that I have been noticing over the course of the show has to happen. Mabel has a naivete to her that, while charming, and I don't want her to lose that, in order to grow up properly, she's going to have to eventually. And at its core, her focus on employee morale isn't a bad idea. Happy employees are productive employees, but you also have to have the cojones to actually get your employees to carry out their jobs and make the company money, or else the company doesn't exist. The point of a place like the Mystery Shack is to make money. It's a tourist trap. People don't go into tourist traps expecting not to have to spend money. In fact, tourists go into tourist traps expecting to spend more money there than they would anywhere else. They don't expect the attractions to be real. They don't expect everything to be super fancy. They just want to have a good time with it, and someone who comes to one of these tourist traps, 99 out of 100 of them will have budgeted away the extra money to spend on the overpriced crap. But Mabel tries to be nice to everybody. She keeps prices low. She tries to do the jobs of multiple employees so that they can have time off when they ask for it, even if they don't need it. It shows that she's a good person, but that she doesn't have the skill to handle the other side of the business. And I wouldn't expect her to. She's young. And Stan absolutely should be more considerate of the morale of his employees. Stan probably shouldn't look at his customers and see literal walking wallets, which we do actually see that he does. Stan is a very selfish person, but at the end of the day, he knows how to run that business. He knows how to turn a profit. And people genuinely don't care because they're still getting the experience that they expected. I wasn't surprised that in the end Stan failed, that he bet all the money that he won on the game show and lost all of it at the last second. But I'll tell you, I was genuinely surprised to see that he got real character development in this episode. He lost everything because while playing this game that's a lot like Wheel of Fortune, he wasn't able to solve for the word please. Please, being a word that Mabel asserted earlier in the episode, is an important one that can improve people's attitudes and make them feel more comfortable around you and hence spend more money at your store. And Stan just kind of blew her off, but now his loss, his inability to solve for this word, and his loss that came as a result, has helped him to learn to appreciate the word please. He says please to his employees. He even admits that he's glad to be home because he missed the kids. The climax of this episode was about Mabel learning that niceness doesn't get you everything you need. That sometimes when you're put into an adult situation, the responsible thing to do is to make decisions even if it makes people upset. That if you're too nice to the right people, they will take advantage of you. I mean, she did let a literal monster out of its cage because she thought it deserved a break, which led to the literal destruction of the business. It was a pretty plain metaphor. She learned all those things, she grew up a little bit, and that's honestly what I expected to happen after the setup of this episode, but I really did not expect to see Stan learn a lesson too, to learn that sometimes adding a little bit of niceness into the way that you interact with people improves your relationship with them. It was more a message about meeting in the middle, and I really appreciated appreciated that. I came out of this episode actually really liking both of these plot lines. I wish we'd gotten to see more of Stan's transformation, if you could even call it that. He hasn't changed that much. He's just softened slightly as a person. I also, however, came away from this episode thinking that somebody who has more of the mindset of Stan and somebody who has more of the mindset of Mabel could actually probably open one kick-butt business. Just so long as they knew equally well what they were doing and each of them trusted the other. You could have the more Stanish one running the business side of things and they would be deferred to on the business side of things, whereas the more Mabelish person would be deferred to in matters of morale and customer appreciation and stuff like that. And so part of me kind of wishes that this episode had been about something more like that. But I still liked what we got, so I'm not complaining. I also wonder, not for the first time, if the fact that the Mystery Shack doesn't have any genuine supernatural attractions in a town with genuine supernatural attractions is just another way that Stan diverts attention away from the fact that he clearly has some secret hidden in the building somewhere. And perhaps to even further convince tourists to the town that nothing actually supernatural is going on there. That while Stan is a money-grubbing hermit, part of the reason that the Mystery Shack sucks as much as it does is a cover. I guess only time will tell. At the end of the day, though, I did enjoy this episode. It had a lot of cute moments in it, followed by some very good character development. And the monster in this was really cool, too. I never mentioned him, but he was actually really cool, too. Not my favorite episode of the series, but definitely a good one that I enjoyed watching. All that said, though, guys, if you have seen this episode, what did you think of it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.